Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to a rather interesting video, or at least I think an interesting video. Today I'm going to be doing a little choreographed display here on DCS World. I have the GoPro on my head, and I'm recording only my center screen. I have this in triples, as you can see here. Got my stick, everything in green, whole room in green, all ready to go. So everything's moodlit. I've got my stream deck here in front of me set up, however, some of the bindings aren't the same as what I've got set on the Hornet. I've got my display notes over here. I'm going to try and get this as correct as possible. Now first things first, Chaz needs to speak English, but we're going to go through a startup procedure in the Hornet. So first off, turn your battery on with a nice right click there. Turn your APU on. May as well get the oxygen flow going on here as well. Get the engine crank to the right hand side. We're going to start the right engine first because most of the electronics and the power come off the right engine. While that is going, we're going to set the radar to operational and the INS to ground. That way we'll get the INS aligned, which is basically the navigation system. We're going to turn these displays on, ready for the power to come through to them. And when these numbers here get up to about 28, 29, I'm going to hit these two buttons on the keyboard, and those numbers will rapidly start increasing as the engine starts. Now while it gets noisier, I'm going to just get this little switch under here, hold that down, and close the canopy. Going to arm our ejector seat, just in case. And now we're going to crank the left engine once the right one has started properly. Now you'll see all these things come up on here. Turn the master caution off, get that to SA. This screen at the bottom takes a second to go. Now we've got stored heading, which is this bit. Going to click that, and that will align our INS, internal navigation system, a little bit quicker. Now the altitude up here is showing at 120. We do not want that because we're clearly not at 120 feet. This down here is the analog altimeter. So I'm going to just go and twizzle that little knob down. So on the digital dash you'll see it's going down until we get to 0. Then we've got that nicely aligned. And we're going to crank the left engine. There we go. While we're doing that, we're also going to set the trim. Double click on that, double click on that. You can see the INS is counting down there. And we're going to wait for that left engine to go. Yep, we can do that. That's now powering up, so these warnings on here will disappear in a moment. Couldn't tell you what they mean. And I'm not using my proper beefy Audio-Technica headset today. I'm using just my SteelSeries Arctis 7. I think we're pretty much ready to go once the INS aligns. That gets down to about 0.6, I think. This bit here gets down to about 0.6, and then I think it'll be done. And it does that, which is dead annoying. Change the mode, get it back to that. And as far as I know, we are all good to go. We'll get our positional, get our positional strobe light on. And this is the Madam that we're flying, the A-18 Hornet from VFA-83 Rampagers. It is in mainly the same livery as the aircraft that displayed at Woodford Air Show in 1992, except that had a bit more of a colourful tank on it, and it had the ram on the tail that you can see there in white. Now that was the sound of the APU turning off. As you can see there, the switch is now to the back, and that should be us good to go. I'm going to switch that to nav, which I think is a huge mistake because I think we've just lost our INS. Back in a minute. And I've got to wait for that to do it all over again. Yay! So once that is done, we are pretty much ready to go here in the A-18C Hornet. I only have a few manoeuvres planned on here. It's very loosely choreographed, I won't lie. There's no sort of specific headings or speeds or anything really planned. It's just something nice to look at. There is a big airshow cone all the way over there, which is aiming to be some sort of centre line or crowd centre for the display. It's been interesting learning the Hornet and all of its sort of buttons and switches and things. It's a lovely aircraft to fly. Very manoeuvrable, very, very quick. So just waiting for that INS to be complete, and then we will pull this wonderful lever here, which is the emergency parking brake. How long have we got left? Oh, it's pretty much done now. Okay, we are good to go. Let's pull that parking brake. Tell you what, let's just ask for taxi. Well, we've only just requested start up, so brilliant. Please give me the nod. Sound. Yeah, I don't know what he says there, but it's clearly not correct. Either way, we are on our way to taxi to the runway. Never really makes that turn on the line, does the Hornet? I'm not quite sure why. I do have extra nose wheel steering available for more manoeuvrable stuff, but it's a bit of a faff when I'm using one hand over here and the other hand over here. Go for a bit of a fast taxi. It's about 6:30 in the morning in the sim. It's nice and shiny. For some reason the aircraft is veering left. It did this earlier. I think there's something wrong with my stick, but it definitely veers left with the tiniest of touches. So I'm not quite sure what the situation is there.
Dodge 3-1, request takeoff.
Let's get on the brakes a little bit before we turn it around here. Pretty sure you have to get on the runway to get takeoff clearance. And this doesn't count as part of the runway for a few meters here, so we have to taxi quite far down it for the AI to pick us up, I think. See all the skyscrapers over there. This is Kish International, this airport. It's on its own little island. It's not the easiest to navigate around though, so trying to find the crowd centre line isn't easy. I think we have to taxi past these little things here. Oh, there we go. Unable to clear for takeoff up in this left corner. Oh, there we go. Yeah, shut up. No one was listening anyway. We'll do this from a nice view here. Do a quick flight controls check. All looks good to me. Let's hit it. Oh, listen to that howl. Into burner she goes. Okay. So what we're going to do is pull up as early as possible, get it floating, pull the gear and the flaps up, give it a flat 360, extending the first half of it, full afterburner. Coming off the power slightly round the second part, just to sharpen that turn up, because we're going quicker now than when we left the ground. Now it's not the nearest runway that we're going to, it is the second runway that we're lining up with. Height isn't really an issue here, I don't have a minimum height for the display. And then I'm just going to loop it over with a 270 roll and pull out hard to the right on full afterburner. I'm going to do another little roll just to swaz it out, level out here slightly, and then get round to the right hand side once again, pulling back all the way on the stick, coming off the power gradually with it. I did write in my notes that I want to do this on 100% power, but nope. We are not doing that. There we go, that's nicely lined up with the runway. And we're going to flip her over for an inverted pass. At about 300 feet. And we're gaining a lot of height doing this as well, so I've not quite done that correctly. Quick glance down, we're not in burner yet. Wait till we cross the threshold, flick it right, put it in burner and pull up hard. And then another roll to wash up a bit of speed as we come off the power, and then we're going to come around now for a slow pass. So air brake going up on this hand here. The air brake light comes up on about here, saying speed brake. Gonna shallow out the turn a little bit. We are nicely lined up there. 250 knots. Now what we're going to do here is get to crowd centre, which is the humongous cone on the left hand side, just about here, if I don't put my finger through the monitor. Just going to leave the nose just about level, nice slow pass. I'm going to turn right at crowd centre, going into full afterburner. 180 knots, so we should just about start falling out of the sky now. Turning right, full burner. I'm going to climb away to the point of stall. Power off, roll it over, and make sure that the aircraft falls left. Getting a lot of beeping, so I'm going to rag the stick over to the right. I'm just going to let it fall. Still no power, still got the speed brake on, which is a little bit of a mistake by me, I won't lie. And then back into 100% dry thrust, so we're not using burner for this part. Just going to turn over to the right here, just to open up this final turn. I say final turn, it's not a final turn at all, we've got a few moves left. Off the power a little bit just to tighten up that turn. Yeah, we've gone a little bit tight on this one, but it's okay. We'll just use the second runway as our point of crossing the airfield. What we're going to do here is a 360-degree roll to the right, just at crowd centre, which is the cone on this side here. And we're going to pull up just to gain a little bit of height before it, and then roll. And then I'm going to pull up again, continue rolling, and go into full afterburner on a left turn. And then come straight off that power and pull up hard, because what we're going to do is come back round to the crowd centre line. Look at the turning capability of the Hornet. It's absolutely amazing. We're going to aim at that cone. Make it look nice and smooth as we style it out. We're not in burner at the moment. Then just before we get there, we're going to pilot on in burner, pull up hard, as if you're washing the afterburner heat at the crowd. Little roll to style it out, bit of push down on the nose. And then up we go. 270, roll it over. Out of burner. Level it out. And then we're going to take an interesting approach to this final pass. Leveling out here about 5,000 feet. Actually we're at 4,800. Another 270 roll. Aiming down at the ground. Hard into some thrust. Dry thrust. No burner. And we're going to cross the runway about 100 feet. About 500 knots. Still in dry burner, and then we're going to pull up hard and go into a half Cuban, which is basically most of a loop. Power off at the top, nice drift at the top, really wash off that speed. Going to get loads of stall warnings, let it float down for a sec. Hard onto the power, there is crowd centre. Pull it up hard on the way in, burner on the way out, slide it round to the right hand side, 90 degrees away from crowd centre, give it a bit of a roll, still on the burner, and say goodbye with a humongous climb up. Staying in burner all the way up until about 10,000 feet, still doing 300 knots. and 10,000 feet off the power, over to the right hand side. We're going to get stall warnings aplenty as the aircraft falls out of the sky. Even in the time that we've come off the power, we've still gained another 4,000 feet. Back on dry thrust, just to regain some pace because we're still only doing 120 knots. And cycle round for landing.
Dodge 3-1, inbound. Dodge 3-1, fly heading to 8648, QFE 29.80, runway 10 to pattern altitude.
There's the runway down there, so we'll not use power. That's a silly idea, isn't it, Chaz? Okay, so we're going to request landing.
Request landing.
Completely off the power now, so we're just floating down through some of the clouds. The beautiful clouds on DCS, they are absolutely stunning. That was probably one of the smoothest runs that I've had of this display as well, if I'm honest with you. I've done it a couple of times now. And I know that I was looking up quite a lot, so I imagine the GoPro might not have got all of that. A bit worried about that now. I was conscious halfway through, I had my head tilted back quite a lot. But we'll see. Not lined up brilliantly. It's alright.
Altitude. Altitude.
I'm gonna have gear coming down. Speed brake is up. We're going to land a runway, well, they call it 10 left, but it's actually painted on the ground as 09 left. Either way, we'll be fine. No flaps here. This plane just glides so well with that huge leading edge that they have on the wing. Yep, we have landing gear down, sunshine, don't you worry. Might just have a little bit of power. Just to smooth things out, you'll notice the hood is dropping off the end of the nose. It'll start blinking in a second as we reach quite a high angle. Or will it? No. Buttery landing. Lovely stuff. So that was my little display in the A-18C Hornet from VFA 83 at Quiche International. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope it gave you a nice view of how these things work with the GoPro on my head as well. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.